Welcome to Well Delivered by FlowSpace, the podcast unpacking real insight for building and scaling modern supply chains. Today, we're joined by the VP of Supply Chain at Made In to discuss scaling fulfillment operations, staying flexible through rapid growth, and how Made In uses FlowSpace to support a resilient supply chain.
Good afternoon. My name is Ben Ichis, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of FlowSpace. And welcome to another episode of Well Delivered, a podcast where we get to speak directly to brand operators about what it's like to scale. Joining us on our call today is Kara Strasser, who's the VP of Supply Chain at Made In, a fast-growing kitchenware company based in Austin. So welcome to the show, Kara.
Thank you, Ben. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And Kara, before we get started, I would love to just learn how you got your start in supply chain. I noticed you were a consultant first and then jumped over to the brand side. So I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, it's a good question, and something that I always kind of ask myself how I landed exactly at Made In. A little bit of trial and error, a little bit of following trusted friends or colleagues. I have an engineering and technical background. Was one of those kids always watching how it's made, or those fun builder shows when I was younger. And my parents pushed me into engineering, and it was great, but I was missing some of that real world context of
Sure.
things, of being in a lab or like super heavy technical product design. And consulting was very big at Georgia Tech, and even for engineers, a very big career path. And I saw a bunch of really trusted classmates going into engineering or going into consulting. And I thought, okay, maybe I can give this a try too. If I'm following these people, maybe I'll follow them for a career path. Did that for about 5 years and kind of slowly got closer and closer to operations and supply chain. I started doing a lot of life sciences work and kind of like drug trial work, cancer research type work within that space. But again, missing something. Then got into healthcare supply chain consulting and started to find a little bit of a groove there. Right before I was leaving from Made In, I was actually doing strategic sourcing and fulfillment network optimization for a few hospitals during the COVID time. I was sourcing N95s and PPE for some of the major hospitals during COVID. Was great, but a little bit of a burnout. And that's when one of my former managers at Deloitte was at Made In, and wanted a chance to work with him again and took that jump. And it seems like it's really has fit. I get to bring some more technical experience to the role, get to lead engineer a little bit more. And it's been fun working at a small business instead of this big, massive behemoth of an organization. So yeah, who knows if it's a long-term stay in retail, CPG, supply chain, but it feels like a really good fit right now.
That's awesome. I think that's actually one of the things that attracted me to supply chain is that the numbers on a spreadsheet actually represent something real, right? There's like a physical product moving, and there's a lot of math involved, but it's obviously a lot of people involved too, right? Like people are touching physical products. These things are touching so many hands before they get to someone. And I've always found that, it can be stressful at times, but very interesting and never boring for sure.
Challenges are hard, but the outcome that you're looking for, usually the answer is clear. Yes. I think that's where it makes it interesting or satisfying, is you always know what you're trying to accomplish. Maybe how you get there is a little fuzzy, but what you want to accomplish is very clear, and that makes it not easy per se to do, but it makes the desire easy, or like the gumption to go fix it easy, because you know what the answer is.
That's a great point. And one of the things I wanted to ask you is you're running supply chains for a fast growing brand in arguably like one of the most dynamic time periods in this last 5 or 6 years. You have COVID, you have the come down from COVID, which impacted different sale where you're selling your products. Also, you had tariffs earlier this year and the year before. So what is your main focus, and any advice you would have, just kind of stay nimble to address some of these things that you can't control?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great question. I think having optionality is one. Um, of course, there's great opportunity in having single source partners on production, on services. Maybe you get great scale pricing, but then you're locked in, and that can maybe be challenging once you need to make a change. And I'm sure we'll get into it later on the move to flow space, but that was a very big uh, reason for us to move to flow spaces is the nimbleness and flexibility and optionality that we had.
Sure.
Um, and then also just having all of the information at the ready at any point to be able to understand what's going on. There were a few years back where we didn't have some of our data well integrated, and we had no idea how to make decisions or how to
Hmm.
pivot because the answers weren't there.
Sure.
And now that we have all the information we need for transit time to different countries, landed cost by SKU, cost of containers with different carriers or different transit methods, we can be quite a bit more nimble with the decision because we understand the why or the inputs. Um, I I feel like I was reflecting on this question. I don't really know if there is a silver bullet of like how to stay nimble, how to be able to navigate it all, other than those two things. If we do like to make sure we have some optionality, be that in sales channels or the way we operate, and then also just having as much information as possible to make those decisions easier. But yeah, I don't know if I have a silver bullet other than those two.
Well, it's such a great point about just understanding what the levers are in your business, right? And like we've seen that a lot. That's frankly one of the reasons I started FlowSpace. It was very opaque and very difficult to even understand. Hey, if I did X, what is the outcome over here, right? And I think that's increasingly what we see is the best run operations team are really data driven, right? And understanding that if I make this change, here's the downstream impact. And it's an exciting time to be in the space because I think a lot of tools are making that easier. Um,
Absolutely.
and you've been at Made In through a period of just rapid expansion and rapid growth internationally, different sales channels, obviously the different product extensions. So just curious, like, what are the first things to kind of break as the business is scaling so rapidly, especially from the operations side?
Mhm.
You kind of see it all.
Yeah. Yeah. I have this visual in my head on the way we work. It is a little silly, but we have kind of like our core orb of things that we're really good at.
Hmm.
And it's the bread and butter of the business. Like, it could be just fulfillment management. It could be shipping to the 99% of the customers. It could be inventory, but like we've got this core that is we're so good at. And then flying out there is a request of, well, can we service X? Can we service Y? Can we service Z? And it never makes sense in the first weeks, couple of months, sometimes even first year or so for us to say, let's stand up a process and make that floating little thing out there part of our core because we don't have weeks of dev time or we don't have
Yep.
like weeks to scaffold out a big structure. And so we manage it by exception or we do some hacky, this kind of works for now process. But then that little floating thing becomes this like crater that can totally blow up our core. And we have to say, time to make it part of core operations and put in the time to put in the right structure, do an integration and hire someone to support managing the day to day. And so it's really when those exceptions or those kind of floating things out there that we thought never would be too big of a manual process actually starts being the majority of our time, and then make that part of our daily workflow. And just exceptions can break us. We, you know, think there's this little bit of work here and there, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, but when it's 100 of those a day, the team will starts to break down. And usually it's just a integration to get it going. And sometimes it's saying we're not going to service and support this anymore. Usually we
Sure.
find a path for it, but maybe it's not worth the effort anymore. But yeah.
No, that's a great point about kind of reflecting on things that worked maybe a year ago or not working today. There have
Uh-huh.
been so many instances of that running FlowSpace for the last 9 years that,
I'm
every time
sure.
you give a demo, if a customer like you point out, you're like, well, why does it work this way? And then you're thinking back, that was the decision I made 9 years ago, not thinking anyone would use it, right? So
Yeah.
it's constantly evolving. Um, so that kind of brings me to the next point of we started working together a couple of years ago, and I was just curious from your perspective,
Mhm,
when when was it clear that you needed to make a change in some of your fulfillment operations? Like what was breaking, and
mhm,
what were you most concerned about when making a change?
mhm. Yeah, the biggest impetus behind us making the change was that honestly, Maiden had changed so much, and our relationship with our former 3PL was so fixed. Our contract was so fixed on certain order types or certain order profiles. And now we were fulfilling all different types of orders, different channels, and the structure was just far too rigid.
Hmm.
And our cost was going sideways on these custom orders or special handling orders that have to go out to a hotel or restaurant. We were dipping our toes into EDI orders, and just the nature of the relationship was set up for e-commerce and e-commerce only.
Yep.
We had this really long contract, trying to adjust the terms, had some pretty heavy buyouts, and it was almost, it was just square peg in a round hole. Like it was
Sure.
not working. And uh, it seemed at the time, and who knows if this is exactly their perspective, but it seemed at the time that we were still little fish in this big ocean for this provider,
Sure.
and we didn't have the sense of urgency and care on the other side that we needed. It's a premium product. It comes at a high price point. We want a really amazing customer experience, and we need a partner on the other side that really cares, from the warehouse operators all the way up to execs. And we weren't necessarily getting that anymore. And who knows? It could have been because the P&L was going sideways because we were asking them to fulfill all of these funky
Sure.
orders that they weren't expecting. But yeah, the ability to change to the type of orders that we had coming down was really the big kicker. Cost of fulfillment was a huge one too, and we've definitely changed our P&L significantly moving to working with FlowSpace. But that adaptability plus care on the other side is was really the driving home points if you ignore cost, of course.
Totally. That makes a lot of sense. And I had a very similar experience at the Honest Company where we had a great partner, but
Mhm.
as our channel mix changed and 50% of our volume was coming from brick and mortar retail,
Mhm.
that our tech stack needed to change. Our pricing model
Mhm.
was, it didn't make sense for what we previously negotiated. And I think what quickly, we had flow space, brands don't have like a year to transition systems. You probably have a maybe 3 months that you want to like
Yeah.
execute on something, and I
Mhm.
think that's just the new normal. Um,
Yeah.
so one question I had, Kara. So Made
Mhm.
In is unique in the sense that you have one owned and operated operation down in Texas, and then
Yeah.
leverage the flow space network for the rest of your fulfillment. Can you tell
Mhm.
us a little about um, some of the challenges you have with your own operation, and maybe some of the benefits you've seen since using the flow space product?
Yeah. Our Selma warehouse just outside San Antonio is honestly one of the highlights of my time working at Maiden. It's been so much fun being able to be physically involved with product reaching our customers. It has really transformed the way we operate, not only us fully understanding what it takes to fulfill an order and bringing that type of insight to conversations with our partners that are fulfilling for us. Um, but we now know what the customer is experiencing. And we also, similarly to my little orb image, is that we can try things out there at little to no cost. The One of the big reasons why we decided to open the fulfillment center was some cost savings, fixed storage pricing, can be a little more aggressive with inventory and bring in quite a bit of safety stock. Also, we candidly we're having a really tough time with kitting with precision at our 3PL, and we're storing loads and loads of packaging on hand
Sure.
and having some inventory adjustment challenges and shrink challenges. But now it's transformed into this kind of blessing and a curse for us of like if something is at risk or going sideways or we're not sure about quality or we're trialing a new vendor, we have made an employee's eyes and ears on the product, and something that might get lost in translation to a 3PL, even if we try our hardest, doesn't happen. And we can set standards and on the fly SOP changes there. And it comes a little bit of this catch all safety net. Now, it kind of burns us every once in a while because we're late on a product launch and we say,
Sure.
just send it to Selma, send the lids from one manufacturer, the pans from another. Selma's going to add them together. Hectic, chaotic product launch, but we're able to pull it off. And I know if we didn't have Selma, like we could find a partner, and I'm sure in partnership with the account management team, like we could always figure things out. But it is fortunately or unfortunately a lot of last minute changes that we field.
Sure.
Um,
And we've
yeah.
indirectly seen the benefit of it too, because you get to iron out processes in
Mhm.
Selma and then kind of relay those to us to replicate them around the country. And then it's good to have that kind of direct insight.
Mhm.
And again, like you said, you're physically seeing it. It's not rows on a spreadsheet, right?
Exactly, exactly. And I think we've also done a good job of sharing feedback on the product back to your team too. We've partnered on feature changes or product changes that help make their life easier down in the Selma warehouse, but also I've seen those things shared out with some of the other sites, which has been fun to partner with your team on that. Using the flow space product too there has been a huge win for us, particularly for our service agents or for our day-to-day operators.
Sure.
They go into one system to look for all orders. All of our data pipelines come from the flow space API. We don't have to merge two data sets to look at cost of fulfillment and orders shipped that day. And I can't say that our system stack is perfect or that's consolidated and clean, but on the fulfillment side, we do have just one US fulfillment no or fulfillment partner and system, and the amount of cycle time taken out of reporting and finding answers is just gone way, way down from our previous world of having two systems. But yeah, honestly, I can't imagine not having that site. I can't even imagine. We've got an
Sure.
amazing team there, and honestly, they've saved our butts so many times, making sure that we pull off what seems impossible. And yeah, it's been a great ride.
Well, I think it's like a prime example of what you're talking about earlier of just being nimble and flexible. And I
Mhm.
think, with um, even any customer brand that we work with, I think
Mhm.
what's what I like about our product is that it's not all or nothing, right? It's like brands have their own facilities; they can leverage us to get reach
Mhm.
across the country, and we're really happy that you're using our software in your building.
Yeah.
And one of the stats that I think heard through the grapevine,
Mhm.
and I just want to validate with you,
Mhm.
I heard that like since you implemented the flow space system, your
Mhm.
throughput went up by around 30%. Is that, can you tell me more about what what the system it means for you and how it's been working?
Yeah, and honestly, it's probably even more as of late. We recently added NFC tracking for our employees or our operators in the warehouse, and when they start the day, they tap into their primary workspace, be it outbound, inbound, kitting, wherever. And then if they change throughout the day, they tap into the new area. And we kind of built our own homegrown labor tracking tool.
Sure.
And even since January, we've reduce costs to pick, pack, ship a unit by about like 10 or 15%.
Wow.
And part of that is from just learning how we were spending our labor and, cutting people loose and letting them go home early or reallocating to other parts of the building. But yeah, we've from launch, I'm sure 30% plus or more. The two big things that continually come up are, one, onboarding time. We need maybe half a day to onboard someone to pick, pack, and ship. They maybe won't take unique orders or things that have special work instructions, but the standard run-of-the-mill
Sure.
orders, they're half day ready to go. I think before it'd take probably about 2 days to train someone, and we had a WMS on one screen, a TMS on the other. They weren't always talking to each other, a lot of exception management. Um, our past WMS also could only hold 4,000 orders in the UI at once. And so you'd start batching and allocating orders out, and you'd think, all right, like we got 6 hours to go. Everything's batched out.
That's
And
one way
then
to get through your work, is just look at a subset of it. Yeah.
yeah. And then they'd batch all the orders out, and then another 2,000 orders would pop up. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I couldn't even see all of them.
That's like pushing the boulder up the hill and just having it fall back at you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I remember the first time we discovered that during like the start of a Black Friday sale. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe we should look somewhere else for the total open orders we have rather than here. And then the other one that keeps coming up is the quick click-through process once we are fulfilling an order, to scan item, start packing, print shipping label, get the order done. Like now the thing that takes the most time is building the outer shipper.
Yeah.
Rather than click, 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 click.
Sure.
Make sure the systems are in alignment. If something breaks down, mainly copying it over to the other, like that's completely all gone. And continually those just are the two big areas. Onboarding and pack and ship are the big time savers for us. I think I've heard feedback too from the team that batching is a lot more straightforward. We had to do some work on our mutually exclusive tagging system and making sure everything could batch out properly. But once that was set, I mean, we've got team leads over batching, not like managers or supervisor or, warehouse director or anything like that over
Sure.
batching, which is amazing. We've got it with some of our like mid-rank operators, which is amazing.
That's awesome. Really cool to hear.
Mm-hmm.
One of the, as we kind of close our time, there's been a lot of changes, obviously, in the last year and the last 5 years in supply chain, directly impacting brands. What are you most focused on kind of for the rest of 2026 and beyond?
Yeah. I, like most, I'm sure, are vacuum sucked into the AI cloud automation world. I am probably a little too sucked in at times, and
Sure.
like on the weekends, like coding away, but
Yep.
it's been a lot of it's a healthy addiction, I would say. But the big thing that I'm working on for the team is just replacing manual processes
Yep.
and giving time back to them for true thinking, strategizing, implementing process for those exception management items, and just allowing the team get to kind of that next level by
Yep.
taking away the day-to-day crap that they're having to do. Like we have this one process here for our ASNs where we get packing lists from 20 some vendors, all in different languages, many of them handwritten because we're working with these amazing, but not the most
Yep.
tech savvy artisan manufacturers.
Sure.
We're having to like translate their packing slips into documents for our ERP, super clunky. It was probably
Yep.
taking us like 15 or 20 hours a week. And we've got it down to like 1 or 2 hours a week right now, all enabled by AI automation that like former iPaaS solutions never were able to figure out. And finding things like that, like where is the team not really using their brain, but doing something critical that is critical scaffolding
Yep.
or like core to the business cannot be missed activities. And then allowing them to go play around in spaces, like find answers to things that we're curious about, bring new processes into the team. That is my big like pet project and focus, and trying to encourage the team to do the same. And that's outside of the day to day of like, we're
Totally.
going to launch a new fulfillment location
Yeah.
soon. We're going to continue growing in the wholesale channel. We're, you know,
I,
still
I
scaling the business, but getting those manual things out is just, I'm on bullet train to get
So,
those
and I
completed.
think it's actually very similar with us. So
Hmm.
we're very focused on the integrations onboarding time and how we
Hmm.
can use AI to essentially cut that time down. So one use case, we cut down a process that was taking roughly 7 days down to 2. So we're
Awesome.
pretty excited about that. And then all of our customers have Slack channels with us. So
Hmm.
monitoring these Slack channels and identifying, my biggest pet peeve is like when a customer has to reach out to us about a specific order. Hey,
Yeah.
did this ship, or where's this order? Like, how can we use the data that we have to proactively tell you what's
Uh-huh.
wrong so you never have to reach out to us? And I think we're really close and doing some interesting things on
Cool.
that. But really, like, these tools are incredible, and I'm the same with you. It's like on weekends I'm coding stuff that I've never coded before, so it's exciting, and I
Uh-huh.
think we can really use this to deliver even better customer experience and make the responses even faster.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
exciting time to be in the space. um,
Yeah.
and Kara, as we wind up, I just wanted to thank you for joining us. It's been an
Mhm.
absolute pleasure to be working with you over the last couple of years. And I think all of your feedback and the team's feedback is making the product and our process even stronger. So thank you so much. And look forward to sharing this with the LinkedIn crew here.
Yeah, thank you for supporting us in our growth. And it's always a different theme or opportunity or new process that we are looking at. And rather than having someone think, oh no, here we go again, Maiden's asking for something new, we do have some great partners on the other side that are open to our ideas and feeling supported along the way. Even if they are big asks, the team has always rise to the occasion, thinking about the virtual warehousing or inventory pools that your team is calling it. That's going to be a huge growth unlock for us, and just appreciate you being open to the whims of our growth and supporting us through the changes. Not all partners are open to that, and it's been great to know that it is a true partnership in that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kara. And on that feature, give us like a week or two, because we're gonna give you a demo of it. I think you're gonna really like it. So thank
Can't
you,
wait.
and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks. You too. Bye, Ben.
All right.
See ya.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to Well Delivered and the operators who keep fulfillment moving. Follow for more episodes like this, and we'll be back next time.